Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is bring about conversations of a psychological, mental health, emotional health paradigm. We do that as often as we can, usually several times per week. We make something good happen for your benefit. We're going to kind of look at toxic phrases here. And so, toxic phrases are phrases that are used when you mean well, but they can have a negative connotation. And if you're looking for life, business, relationship coaching, things are busy in the summer. Lots of people trying to get kind of a summer of better value for themselves. Would love to be of service to you. I've served over 18,000 people over the last 15 years. Would love to add you to that list. Please feel free to reach out. And so a couple ways you can do that at PO Perception on Twitter and or in the About Me section of this YouTube page. We'll continue moving forward from there. So the first thing is telling somebody that it's nothing, that what they're going through isn't significant, doesn't matter, or is something they needn't worry about. Look, we can't control how a person interprets levels of emotion and or things that matter to them. And so trying to control those things can actually be extremely toxic from the standpoint that a person may feel as though they are constantly, not getting what they need and not being heard. Look, a lot of times what people are really looking for is just to be heard, just to be valued. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to understand where they're coming from. It also doesn't necessarily mean that we have to agree with what matters to them. People are allowed and encouraged to have their own things that matter to them, but it's important to be kind and forthright about that. The I told you so thing, obviously, if you knew something and you ended up being right, quietly saying I told you so to yourself is perfectly fine. Saying I told you so to somebody else, though, not the best of ideas. Mainly because at the end of the day, you having knowledge of what it is that did happen in advance doesn't prevent or disqualify the person's pain or emotional discomfort from happening. Therefore, saying I told you so is completely irrelevant and not very helpful. And at the end of the day, if you're not being helpful, you're being hurtful in some way, and or you're wasting your time. So finding a way to make everything you say and do have some level of positive meaning is a good idea for a number of reasons. And so the next thing there, kind of looking at avoid saying nothing worse can happen. Look, you don't know how someone's interpreting something, and if they are dealing with something and interpreting it and or filtering it as though it's the worst thing that could ever happen to them, saying nothing worse can happen might be a negative thing. Um, it's an interesting um, it's an interesting thing of value, and we kind of get that when we kind of look at things from the standpoint of what we perceive worse or better is irrelevant because different people have different ways of processing things. And at the end of the day, too, also looking at it from what a person can handle is different. So one person may be extremely good or comfortable in handling a traumatic or difficult experience. Another person may see it as the end of their life or the end of their freedom or something really negative. So every person interprets things and what matters to them and what's important to them or painful to them differently. And so there's value there in kind of understanding that everyone's interpretation is what matters. Telling someone they're in trouble or they're going to have trouble or more trouble is coming is also something that we do to kind of like, hey, this could get worse, which is what we're thinking, but we need to kind of censor against saying. And there's value in that, and there's interesting. Anyway, so for those that are kind of looking for ways to, get things going in a good way, um, telling someone they're misusing their time or telling someone they have more time is also kind of lack of value because look how a person uses their time and or how a person is kind of looking forward in their time and or not using their time well is something they need to learn. So being critical of what someone's doing with their time, you don't know what coping mechanism they're using and or why they're doing things in the way they're doing them. So hopefully this is helpful. Encourage you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.